Hi, I'm Teresa from Phoenix Gate Crafts, and today we are doing a yarn review for socks. Just kidding. I didn't order these, but I got them from Amazon, so we're not doing that. We're actually doing this, but not the pen. This is from Knitting for Olive. About a month or so ago, I did a poll on my community tab about what yarn you guys would like me to review next. And the clear winner was Knitting for Olive. So a little bit about Knitting for Olive. They are a Denmark-based company. And they are all about sustainability. They do have a recycled yarn that is 50% recycled yarn and 50% regular, like merino. But all of their yarns, be they the silk or the merino or whatever, are from certified farms. That it's a third-party certification that all of the animals are treated well and handled appropriately, and everything is sustainably raised. Every animal is treated well and is healthy. And the yarn meets the standards for well obtained. As a result, I am very surprised with how quickly I got this. Now, I don't know if they have a U.S. distribution center. I'm recording this on September 17th, and I ordered this, like, no joke, 3 or 4 days ago. I can put the dates. I'll put the dates here. And it arrived within days. And I got free shipping because they had a code that your first shipping is free, and it's easily available on their website. It was just a little banner across the top. So I copied the code and I got free shipping, and they do ship internationally. They say literally everywhere. So let's open this thing up. I do like it when they have a fold over, so you know you're not getting into the yarn when you're cutting into the packaging. Alright, first thing. Cotton merino. This is a 50% cotton, 50% merino blend, and I got it in green. This is compatible cashmere. This is a lace weight, I believe. This one is only 25 grams. This is 50 grams. This is their merino. This is just 100% merino. Oh, and by the way, they are certified, because I couldn't remember the name, by Control Union. They are RWS certified as well. So, yes, hand wash. This is not superwash merino. This is just plain merino. Good for anything that you don't plan on washing. This is also merino. I got 2 different colors of blue. I figured I could make a hat with this. And then I could put this with it, so it'd be both of these in like a color pattern, but this could be held with it for both. That was my plan. This was just, I was curious about this yarn because it is 70% cotton, 30% extra fine merino. So that is what I got. And this is quite nice. It's not the softest merino I think I've ever used, but that will probably soften a little bit more. It's not bad. It's not itchy. The itch test. So I'm excited to give this a shot. Now let's talk about price before I get too far with anything else. So I learned a little bit about international, well, euros. So I did purchase these in euros. All of these, I believe, were €6 and 50 whatever cents. I'm not sure what a half euro is called, like the coinage of euros. Is that cents? Please let me know in the description box. Anyway, each of these were 6.5 euros. To translate to the American dollar, it's $1.10 for every €1. 50 grams cost about, well, it's 10% more. So 10% of 650 is 65 cents. So 65 plus 50 is $1.10. So these cost about $7 American and 10 cents each, which for 50 grams of 100% merino is not bad. Like, if I was to buy this at my local yarn shop, it'd probably cost me closer to $12. So that is really good, especially since it is ethically and sustainably sourced. I really like it. So I'm not going to open this one, but let's do a sample crochet of... Let's do this one and this one. Sorry if the fan was bothering you. It's been going now. This is 3. Now, let's look at the label. It says 3 millimeters for knitting needles. It does not, of course, these things never mention crochet. It also doesn't tell me what weight this actually is. If it's DK, sport, or whatnot. And that's like all the certifications right there. So that doesn't actually help. So here's the problem with having a 3 millimeter recommended needle size is that could be fingering weight. That could be sport weight or DK weight, because it's the large size of the fingering weight. So I'm having trouble finding the start. So let's just, here's the outside start. We'll do that. So yeah, you know what? This looks pretty fingering weight. Let me grab, okay. I grabbed an actual fingering weight yarn. This one is superwash merino with some nylon. And this is a 2.5 millimeter, which is close enough. I didn't feel like digging for my 3. But let's see. Yeah, these are pretty close. So I would say the knitting for olive is slightly thinner than this one, which isn't a problem. It just, I'm going to use a fingering weight pattern and not a worsted weight pattern. Unless I feel like marling, I might use some DK. So the real judgment is stitch definition, which I feel crochet demonstrates a little bit better. So let's see, let's do double crochet. Well, this is nice. It's not splitting. It does have a bit of a looser thing. Oh, it split. There we go. This yarn, because it's got a loose twist, is more prone to splitting. So you'll need to go a little slower on it just to make sure it doesn't split. But it is actually quite nice now that I'm working with it. I love fingering weight. It's just, I love thin yarn. I'm not a big fan of thick yarn. I know it works up faster, but I always pictured myself with delicate yarn, and I like, one of the best things about like cross stitch and needlepoint and stuff, is you've got this delicate little yarn and this delicate little needle, and you're going up and down, and it's this aesthetic I guess I kind of like. It's silly. I don't know. Am I being weird? I could be being weird. But I do like that. And this is very pretty. It's got kind of a heathered look to it. I don't think that's really showing up. It's actually more blue on camera, but it's kind of got a heathered look to it. That's kind of almost a denim color. I'd wear a hat in this. And it's got really lovely stitches. One of the things I'm always, it's not leery of, that's not the right word for it, just cognizant, I guess, is that when you have ethically sourced stuff, like yarn, it's not always as soft or as nice as a lot of the mass-produced items. And that is because a lot of the processes that yarn goes through, like becoming superwash, for example, is harmful for the environment. So when you do get ethically sourced items, they might be a little rougher. They're probably not going to have superwash components to it, because a lot of that extra processing is a chemical thing that can actually harm the environment. It's not necessarily good for the yarn. A lot of people don't like superwash because it tends to slip a little bit, because basically the superwash process is chemically taking off the cuticle of the wool's hair, because wool is just hair, and it has a cuticle just like your real hair does. It's got a very rough cuticle, which is why this isn't as soft as this, just because this has the full cuticle on it and this doesn't. This has the cuticle chemically stripped, which makes it not grab itself, and it makes it a little bit finer, and it makes it feel different. And that's why superwash, when you wash superwash in the washing machine, you actually need to dry it in the drying machine. The washing will stretch it, and then the drying will bring it back. This needs to be hand washed, but it's going to retain all the qualities that wool has, including that elasticity, that stretch and retract that wool is known for. And I am getting that. Like you can see, it's got a little bit of stretch. You can't see it because it's very thin, but I'm over pulling it, and then it comes and it thins, it thickens. So it's actually going quite a bit, which is really nice to work with. And now that I know how it's behaving, it's working up really nicely. This is going to be lovely. Also, I love how saturated this color is. So a little bit about yarn dyeing. Wool requires acid dyes. Now that sounds nasty, but you can actually get a lot of natural dyes, and the acids don't have to be terrible for the environment. I use food coloring and vinegar. You could use citric acid. I don't know what they use. There are also specific acid dye chemicals from Jacquard and a few other companies. I am blanking on their names right now. They are not necessarily eco-friendly. I don't know specifically which ones are. There's also a whole bunch of natural dyes that you can use. I don't know if Knitting for Olive uses natural dyes or just like food coloring dyes. Well, I mean, clearly this is not food coloring. This color in particular would have a lot of breaking if they used food coloring, because food coloring is not intended for dyeing. Anyway, the chemical process that happens for dyeing is that you have an acid, and that takes the color chemicals and bonds them to the proteins in the yarn. And they did a very good job with that, which is actually why this one is quite impressive, because this is a very solid color, but the fact that it is part cellulose fiber, which is the cotton, and part protein-based fiber, or animal fiber, which is the merino, and you wind up with a very good solid color. That, yeah, it does have some heathering, but that's natural. That's really impressive. It's really good quality coloring. So here's my little swatch. I enjoyed making this. I rather liked this. So let's take this. Cotton is one of those things, it has no stretch. So we'll see how the merino affects the cotton. I wonder, oh, well, that's not technically, found the center pull. Yay! Couldn't find it on this one, but found it on this one. Got only a slight bit of yarn burf. I am fine with yarn burf. But here's the trick to prevent knots. Detangle from the beginning. And this also seems to be a fingering weight. Well, this is a bit tangly, so I'm gonna, found the problem. Okay. Ultimately, that wasn't bad. Oh, and this one is also 50 grams in the same recommended needle. And by the way, if it crochets up real nice, it's going to knit up really nice, very likely as well. You can tell when companies are geared towards knitters versus crocheters. This one is definitely geared towards knitters. So if you crochet, just realize that you have to do the translating. This also has a bit of a looser twist to it. And I always find that unless there's a really tight twist, cotton, in my opinion, tends to be a little bit more splitty anyway. Just because it's not grabby the way that wool is. Though the wool is helping with that. Now this has like no stretch. There's no pull to it. The way that the merino had a bit of give. But this is working up really nicely as well. It doesn't feel the same. It does have that cotton feel to it. In that lack of stretch. But it's not as bad as like peaches and cream or something. Now, do I know what I'm going to do with exactly 50 grams of this stuff? No, I should have purchased one more. I might at some point. I know that for me, I would probably not like knitting this one. But I do think that crocheting is very good. It's got very nice stitch definition. You can definitely see all the twists and everything on this one. You know, I think this one would look really nice. I think it's called the herringbone stitch. I think that would actually be very nice. I might do something small and thin in the herringbone stitch. I have to think on this, but this is also very nice. Let's do one more row. Yeah, if I'm going to steal Tony from TL Yarn Crafts grading system, I'd say that this one for me is a 8 out of 10 crochet hooks. It's not as soft as I would like, but this is totally workable and has great stitch definition. And this one, I'd say has a 6 out of 10. Let's because I'm more neutral, let's say stars, because Stars are fun. All right, so final determination. This actually works up considerably softer than I thought. So I feel that if you knit with wooden needles, you'll have a little bit better luck with this because it does feel a little bit slippery when you're working with it because of the cotton. If you're a metal person like me, just be really aware that this is likely going to slip off your metal needles. But I think this will work up in knitting very nicely as well, and I think it'll in the end be very soft. And if you're a little bit sensitive to wool, this is a nice option because it is low wool. But if you're very sensitive to wool, keep away. It still has it, and it still has some of that wool quality to the touch. This one, knitting, crochet, doesn't matter. It will be nice to work with. Merino, cotton merino blend. So with that being said, what's my opinion on all this? I like it. They are a very nice company. My order was processed the same day and shipped out. And all the yarn seems to work up very nicely. Highly recommend it. They are very ethical in their yarn production and sourcing, and ultimately really not bad of a price. It's truly comparable to Knit Picks in terms of price. So yes, I do highly recommend Knitting for Olive. I really enjoyed this. I might actually get some more of this at some point. So I hope you found this helpful. Happy crafting! Bye!